The colony of Lethra Prime had always been quiet, peaceful, and ignored by the rest of the galaxy. A soft world with gentle winds, forests that glowed at night, rivers that hummed with natural songs, and a population too kind, too trusting, too unprepared for danger. The people of Lethra worked simple jobs, raised families in soft-light houses, and believed that the galaxy was still a safe place. On that calm morning, their skies were blue, children were playing in the floating gardens, traders were unloading fruit crates at the docks, and everything felt normal, until the first shadow passed over the sun. A raider ship descended like a hungry beast. Then another. Then 6 more. Guns fired. Sirens screamed. The colony erupted in panic as slavers and pirates stormed the streets, capturing civilians, destroying defense towers, blasting power grids. No one was ready. No one was armed. No one expected cruelty. In pure desperation, the colony's technicians ran to the old communication tower, a relic built by a friendly neighbor species centuries ago. Their shaking hands activated the distress beacon. "This is Lethra Prime. We request immediate aid. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. Anyone, please respond." The message was meant to travel only to nearby settled worlds. But the transmitter was ancient and cracked. Its circuits had decayed. Its frequency modulators were unstable. And at the moment the technicians pressed send, a surge went through the machine, warping the signal, stretching its reach thousands of times farther than intended. The distress call shot through space like a wild scream. It passed friendly territories. It passed unexplored regions. It slipped past broken satellites. And finally, it reached a world no one wanted to contact. Earth. A world every galactic database labeled with one warning: extreme danger. Do not approach. A death world. There were many reasons the galaxy avoided Earth. Its storms could kill in minutes. Its volcanoes erupted with the strength of orbital cannons. Its gravity was too strong for most species. Its oceans were unpredictable and violent. Its wildlife was fearless and vicious. But above all, humans lived there. Creatures who climbed mountains for fun. Creatures who ran toward danger instead of away. Creatures who fought their entire evolution to survive a planet that hated them. Creatures who adapted, evolved, learned, pushed forward, never broke, never surrendered. Humans were different. Strange. Dangerous. Beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They were the definition of a deathworlder. But for the past 2 centuries, humanity had stayed mostly silent, hidden inside their own star system, watching, observing, preparing. They didn't send diplomats. They didn't join the Galactic Council. They didn't fight unnecessary wars. They simply waited. So when the distress signal from Lethra Prime reached them, something old inside Earth's deep command woke up. Not a computer. Not a machine. Something deeper. Something human. Inside an underground bunker beneath the mountains, lights that had stayed dark for 80 years blinked on. Alarms hummed softly. Screens lit with unknown frequencies until one message appeared across a dozen monitors. Distress call received. Source: NON human. Status: civilians at risk. A young operator named Kaya Patel froze as she read it. Her voice shook when she spoke. "Sir, we have a problem. A colony is calling for help." The commander stepped forward. His eyes hardened. "Location." Kaya swallowed. "Far outside our sector. They were not calling us, but the signal came through somehow." The commander didn't ask how. He didn't ask why. Humans never ignored a call for help. That was their nature. And when someone was attacked, humans did not send diplomats. They did not send warnings. They did not negotiate first. They acted. In less than 6 minutes, Earth's Deathworlder Response Unit, an elite force so hidden the galaxy believed it was a myth, assembled inside a massive hangar. Their armor was plated with adaptive alloys capable of resisting plasma, acid, electricity, and atmospheric collapse. Their helmets were shaped to survive radiation storms. Every soldier carried equipment designed only for the most dangerous environments. Because humans didn't fear hostile planets. They didn't fear monsters. They didn't fear darkness. They came from a world worse than all of them. The hangar doors opened. A massive black dropship, the Apex, powered up, its engines roaring like a beast waking from a long sleep. Its hull was thick, reinforced, and shaped to withstand meteor impacts. Kaya ran to the commander. "Sir, should we wait for council approval?" The commander shook his head, eyes cold with determination. "The council left humans out of their politics. They do not control us." Kaya hesitated. "Then what should we tell them?" The commander gave the simplest answer humanity was known for. "Tell them we're moving." The Apex launched into the sky with a sonic boom, ripping clouds apart. Within minutes, it left Earth's atmosphere. Within hours, it crossed systems the Council considered too dangerous for colonization. Within a day, its engines flared as it jumped into FTL, heading toward the colony that had accidentally called the wrong world. But Lethra Prime had no idea who was coming. The colony thought maybe a neighbor fleet heard their distress call. Maybe a friendly species. Maybe a group of ambassadors arriving to negotiate peace. They had no idea the ones coming were humans, Deathworlders, beings molded by hardship, shaped by storms, raised by chaos, and armed with a strength the galaxy didn't understand. Meanwhile, on Lethra Prime, the raiders gathered prisoners, laughing cruelly, destroying what they couldn't steal. Their leader sneered as he kicked a fallen guard. "No one is coming to save you." But at that exact moment, far above the planet, space bent. The Apex dropped out of FTL like a meteor forged from black metal, engines burning with heat that shook the orbiting raider ships. Pirates panicked. Unknown warp signature. Who is that? What kind of ship is? They didn't get time to finish. The Apex activated its descent boosters. A thunderous boom shook the skies as it tore through the atmosphere, wrapped in flames like a falling star. The people of Lethra looked up. The raiders froze. Even the wildlife hid. The dropship didn't slow. It punched a crater into the ground, dust exploding outward, and every raider instinct screamed, "Run." But it was too late. The ship's door opened. Smoke rolled out. And figures stepped through. Humans. Tall. Armored. Silent. Their visors glowed faint blue. Their movements were slow, calculated, predatory, like they were born for battle. No fear. No panic. No hesitation. The raiders raised their weapons. The humans didn't flinch. A child hiding behind a broken wall whispered, "Who are they?" Her mother answered in a trembling voice she barely understood herself, "Deathworlders." The commander stepped forward. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He simply looked at the raiders and said one cold, terrifying line, "You called the wrong world." And the galaxy shook. Dust settled slowly around the crater where the Apex had landed, spreading across the broken colony road like a silent warning, and every alien eye stared toward the thick smoke rising from the impact. Some with fear, some with desperation, some with the fragile hope that whoever stepped out would save them from the nightmare tearing their home apart. The raiders, who moments earlier had been laughing and kicking down doors, now stood frozen, guns trembling in their claws as the dark silhouettes inside the smoke began to move. A low metallic thump echoed first, one heavy boot, then another. The aliens closest to the blast site felt the ground vibrate beneath their feet, as if something powerful and dangerous had just stepped into their world. When the first human emerged from the smoke, the entire colony seemed to stop breathing. He was tall, shaped like a weapon carved from stone, his armor reflecting no light, absorbing it instead, making him look like a shadow given form. His helmet visor glowed cold blue, scanning the battlefield with an unblinking gaze that felt less like a machine and more like a predator. Behind him came 3 more humans, then 5, each one moving with deadly calm, their shoulders straight, their footwork controlled, their hands ready, but never shaky. They didn't walk like soldiers. They walked like hunters. The colony watchers whispered among themselves, voices trembling. Are those humans? Impossible. Humans never leave their world. A death world species, here. Mothers pulled children closer. Elders gasped, recognizing the stories told for generations. Humans, the Deathworlders, The ones who lived on the most violent, unforgiving world ever studied. The ones who could outrun storms that killed entire civilizations. The ones who survived diseases that wiped out advanced species. The ones who fought predators that could swallow them whole. The ones who laughed at danger and pushed through pain. They were myths. Nightmares. Warnings whispered to children, never provoke a human. They don't fear death. And now those myths were standing at the gates of Lethra Prime. A raider captain tried to find his voice. Humans, this is not your battle. Leave now. The human commander didn't answer. He stepped forward, slow and steady, his boots crushing the broken pavement beneath him like thin glass. He raised one hand, and in an instant, his armor shifted, adapting, forming plates and shields, preparing itself without a single command spoken aloud. The raiders panicked. One fired a plasma bolt. The shot struck the commander's chest, and did nothing. Not even a flinch. The plasma simply evaporated on contact. The colony crowd gasped. A child hiding behind her mother whispered, "They're not scared." The commander tilted his head slightly, as if disappointed. Then he stepped forward again. The raiders stepped backward in fear. Their captain screamed, "Fire! Fire now! They are not invincible." A dozen plasma rifles fired at once. The air filled with screeching bolts of deadly energy, but the humans moved. Not like normal beings. Not like soldiers from soft worlds. They moved like storms given form. The commander raised his arm, and his suit generated a kinetic barrier that absorbed every bolt without slowing. Another human dropped to one knee, armor shifting, building a shoulder-mounted emitter that fired a concussive wave, knocking half the raiders off their feet. A third human sprinted forward with speed that defied logic, vaulting over debris, sliding under fire, grabbing a raider by the collar, lifting him effortlessly, and slamming him into the ground hard enough to crack the stone. Every movement was silent, efficient, controlled, as if they had calculated the entire battlefield before stepping foot on it. The colony leaders watched in shock. They had expected medics, diplomats, or maybe a military ship, something gentle, something peaceful. Not this. Not humans. A trembling elder whispered, "We called for help, not destruction." But Myra, the youngest of the alien council, shook her head softly, tears forming. "No, look carefully. They're not killing the raiders. They are disabling them, sparing them." And she was right. The humans didn't kill unless absolutely needed. They broke weapons, knocked raiders unconscious, shattered armor, dismantled engines. But every move was precise, intentional, controlled. Deathwelders did not waste life. Their violence was terrifying, but it was always focused on justice, not cruelty. Meanwhile, one human medic, her armor painted with faint red lines, walked through the chaos calmly, kneeling beside wounded alien civilians. Her voice was soft, reassuring, almost gentle compared to the battle raging around her. "You're safe now," she whispered as her gloves sealed wounds with advanced nanotech. A Let Horan child touched her arm, eyes wide. "Why are you helping us? You don't know us." The medic smiled behind her visor. "Doesn't matter. You needed help. We heard you." The raiders, terrified beyond reason, began to retreat toward their ship, but they never reached it. Because the human commander stepped into their path. The ground cracked beneath his boots. His armor shifted again, forming broad shoulder guards and tactical plates that looked like the exoskeleton of a nightmare creature. He raised his visor just enough for the raider captain to see the human eyes staring at him. Eyes filled not with rage, not with hatred, but with something far more terrifying, control. The raider captain stumbled backward. Why are you here?" The human spoke quietly, without shouting, but his words hit like thunder. "You called the wrong world." Every raider froze. Every alien gasped. Every child clung to their parent. Because that sentence wasn't a threat. It was a fact. A truth. A warning to the galaxy. The commander walked forward, stopping just inches from the trembling raider captain. "You hurt innocents," he said softly. "That's enough for us to answer." Behind him, more humans lined up, their armor gleaming under the burning sky, and their presence alone felt like a storm standing upright. Silent, unshakable, unstoppable. The raider captain dropped his weapon and fell to his knees. For the first time in his life, he realized he had made the greatest mistake any being could make. He had called Deathwelders. The colony watched as the humans secured the area, rescued trapped civilians, dismantled raider ships, and restored power grids. Not for reward. Not for glory. Simply because someone needed help. And humans always answered. Mothers wept. Elders bowed their heads. Children touched the humans' armor in awe. One alien whispered, voice trembling, "The galaxy fears humans because they don't understand them." Another replied softly, "But today, we finally saw who they are." And far above the colony, orbiting silently in the sky like a dark guardian, the apex transmitted a simple message back to Earth: colony secured. Hostiles neutralized. Assistance complete. But the galaxy had already heard the truth. The Deathwelders had awakened and nothing would ever be the same again. The smoke from the first clash had barely cleared when the next wave of raider ships broke through the clouds, their engines screeching like wounded animals as they descended with arrogant confidence. These were not simple pirates. These were slavers, mercenaries, hardened criminals who believed no small colony could resist them. They had attacked countless worlds, destroyed hundreds of defenses, enslaved thousands. They were feared across 5-star systems. They thought today would be just another easy victory. They didn't know that the ground below was no longer the soft soil of a helpless colony. Deathwelders were standing on it. High above, the raider flagship hovered like a giant metal predator, its shadow stretching across the central plaza. Inside, the pirate warlord, General Scorn, watched the chaos through his screen with a cruel grin. His voice boomed across the comms, "Send the ground squads. Kill anyone who stands in your way. This colony belongs to us now." His lieutenants charged eagerly. They expected civilians. Weak guards. Broken spirits. But as they rushed forward, weapons ready, the first thing they saw were their own soldiers lying defeated on the road, disarmed, unconscious, breathing but humiliated. The second thing they saw were humans, standing silently in the dusty air, watching them approach like wolves waiting for their prey to step closer. The slavers froze mid-run. Their hearts thudded painfully inside their wide chests. "No, no, this cannot be real," whispered one of them. "Humans? Heal." Another hissed, "Impossible. Humans don't travel off-world." But the truth stood in front of them wearing black armor and glowing visors that read every movement, every breath, every shift in the environment with precise calculation. The human commander stepped out again, his presence alone forcing silence across the battlefield. He did not raise his weapon. He only observed, and that was somehow far scarier than any threat. One raider panicked and fired a wild plasma shot. That was the moment everything fell apart. The humans moved with deadly speed. A soldier from the Deathwelder unit dashed forward, armor shifting into a shock absorption mode, catching the plasma bolt with a kinetic glove that crackled with energy but held firm. Another human leaped into the air, twisting like a creature born without fear, crashing down onto 2 raiders and knocking them flat with a single strike. The colony civilians gasped. They had never seen movement like this. No wasted steps, no hesitation. Every action fueled by pure instinct and survival training forged on a world far harsher than theirs. The slavers realized something horrifying. Their weapons were useless. Bolts that could melt metal only annoyed the humans. Blades that could cut through steel barely scratched their armor. Explosives that shattered vehicles were dodged with reflexes the galaxy considered impossible. A raider captain shouted desperately, "Fall back! Fall back! These are Deathwelders!" But there was nowhere to fall back to. The humans advanced. Silent. Predatory. Relentless. One slaver tried to throw down his gun and raise his hands, but another raider screamed, "Don't show weakness. Fight them!" The human nearest to them turned slowly, his visor glowing deeper, and the raider's voice died in his throat. Humans didn't need to threaten. Their calm was the threat. Their silence was louder than any roar. The slavers decided to attack together, a full frontal assault. Plasma fire filled the air. Dust clouds rose. Explosions shook the ground. And when the smoke cleared, the humans were still standing. Barely scratched. Not even winded. A death welder stepped through the cloud, dragging a raider who had attempted to flee. He tossed the pirate to the ground like a child dropping a broken toy. The raider whimpered, "Please, please, what do you want?" The human spoke softly, almost gently, "Why did you attack them?" The raider stuttered. "Because they were weak. Easy to take." The human's visor darkened. "You were wrong." Meanwhile, up in orbit, General Scorn watched the battle unfold with widening eyes. "What are those things?" he snarled. "Why aren't they dying?" His sensors zoomed in on one human lifting a slaver off the ground with one arm while dodging fire with movements so fluid they looked rehearsed, like the human had been fighting this exact fight long before it happened. Scorn slammed his fist on the control panel. "These are monsters from a death world. Why are they here? Who called them?" His second-in-command whispered, trembling. The distress signal must have reached them. Somehow, Scorn's face drained of color. "They answered? Why would they answer?" The officer swallowed hard. Because they heard someone needed help, those simple words sent a deeper fear into every raider aboard the flagship. Helping strangers? Coming across star systems for people they didn't know? What kind of species did that? Only humans. On the ground, the slavers made one final attempt to scatter, firing desperately at the humans and running toward their dropships. But they didn't reach them. A human soldier activated a wrist-mounted device, sending a pulse wave across the battlefield. Every raider weapon short-circuited instantly. Every ship engine sputtered and died. Every escape route closed. The raiders fell to their knees in shock. "We can't run. We can't fight. What are we supposed to do?" The human commander stepped forward again, stopping only inches away from the raider leader. Slowly, he raised his visor, revealing human eyes, sharp, calm, and burning with controlled fury. The raider felt something he hadn't felt in years: shame. The commander spoke quietly, almost whispering, "You prey on the weak. But today, you attacked the wrong world." Those words hit harder than any weapon. For a moment, even the wind seemed to stop. The slavers realized they were facing a force unlike anything they had ever seen. A force not of numbers or weapons, but of will. Human will. Strength shaped by the most dangerous planet in known space. Compassion mixed with terrifying capability. A heart that protected. A body that endured. A spirit that never broke. Civilians peeked from behind collapsed buildings, watching the humans take control with discipline and compassion. Children whispered, "They came for us." An elder cried softly. "They heard our pain, and they answered." And above it all, the apex hovered in orbit, silent, dark, and waiting for the commander's next order. Hidden from the galaxy. Unknown to the council. Unstoppable if provoked. Because the Death Welders had stepped onto Lethra Prime. And every raider in the system finally understood the truth. They called the wrong world, and humanity answered the call with thunder. The raiders had fought many battles, crushed countless colonies, broken defenses built by proud empires, but nothing in their violent histories prepared them for the storm now standing in front of them. The humans did not move like soldiers. They did not shout commands or panic or stumble. They moved like a force of nature, like a tidal wave, like a wildfire, like a storm that had been waiting centuries to be unleashed. And as the next wave of slavers landed, their ships screeching through the smoke-filled sky, the colony of Lethra Prime held its breath. Every alien eye turned upward as the ships descended, heavy engines shaking the ground. Raiders jumped out screaming war cries, believing their numbers would give them strength. They outnumbered the humans 20-1. It didn't matter. Before the raiders' feet even hit the ground, the humans were already analyzing their positions, calculating their weaknesses, preparing their counterstrike. The first slaver landed, raising a blaster, and a human soldier appeared behind him as if stepping through smoke, grabbing his weapon and snapping it in half with one hand. The second slaver aimed a plasma cannon, and a human sprinted so fast he blurred, sliding beneath the cannon and knocking the raider out with a single upward strike. The third slaver fired blindly, but the shots hit nothing. The humans had vanished again. It wasn't teleportation. It wasn't magic. It was instinct, training, and reflexes only possible from a species that evolved fighting storms, cliffs, predators, hunger, radiation, and death itself. Humans didn't fear danger. They adapted to it. They didn't run from threats. They studied them. And when they fought with the full weight of a world that shaped them in fire. One raider stumbled backward, dropping his weapon, whispering shakily, They're not normal. They're monsters. They're shadows. A human soldier appeared right in front of him. The raider froze, eyes wide. But the human didn't strike. Instead, the soldier took the raider's blaster gently, crushed it like paper, and nudged the terrified attacker aside. Run, the human said softly. Or surrender. I don't want to hurt you. The raider fell to his knees. Why spare me? The human didn't answer. He didn't need to. Because humans didn't kill unless innocent lives were at risk. That was what made them so terrifying. They didn't enjoy violence. They controlled it, directed it, mastered it. The real fear wasn't their strength. It was their discipline. Meanwhile, the ground trembled as the Slaver reinforcements opened their armored carriers. Heavy shock troopers marched out, massive, reinforced, and wearing exosuits capable of punching through titanium. They were the elite, the best, the unstoppable. They had ended rebellions on 5 planets. They had cracked colonies in hours. They thought humans would be the same. Then the first shock trooper swung his hammer at a human soldier. The hammer hit, and the human caught it. With one hand. A hand wrapped in adaptive armor that glowed as kinetic energy rippled through it. The shock trooper stared in disbelief. Impossible. The human pushed the hammer aside and looked directly at him. Your suit is strong, he said calmly. But your fear is stronger. And with that, he flipped the raider onto his back with effortless precision. The other shock troopers charged, roaring, surrounding the humans in a circle of steel and fury. The colony gasped. This was it. Even Deathwelders couldn't withstand this much firepower. Could they? The slavers attacked from every direction, weapons swinging, blasters firing, cannons charging. The humans' visors flashed. The apex transmitted combat data. And then, the humans unleashed their true power. Every human activated their environment-adaptive suits to full combat mode. Their armor plates shifted. Their joints tightened. Their visors darkened. Their footsteps grew heavier. Their reflexes sharpened. They moved like lightning wrapped in metal. A human soldier leaped 10 meters into the air, flipping over a shock trooper and slamming down with enough force to dent armor worth millions. Another slid beneath 2 raiders, kicking them into the air before catching both with pulling force gloves and slamming them down in perfect sync. A third human formed a temporary kinetic shield, absorbing the impact of a giant plasma blast before redirecting the force into a concentrated shockwave that knocked 15 slavers backward. Civilians watching from hiding places whispered in awe. They're like living storms. They're not fighting, they're dancing. This is why they're called Deathwelders. Even the environment seemed to obey them. Humans jumped off debris, ducked behind fallen beams, used shattered walls as leverage, moved through smoke without slowing. They were complete masters of chaos. The raiders' morale shattered. Retreat. We can't win. These things aren't people. But the humans weren't chasing fleeing enemies. Instead, they focused on protecting the colony, surrounding civilians, creating safe zones, shutting down fires, turning raider weapons against them with expert precision. A terrified child crawled out from under a collapsed platform, crying for her parents. A human soldier immediately dropped his weapon, lifted the child gently, and whispered, "You're safe. I've got you." That moment spread through the colony like a warm beam of light cutting through dark clouds. These weren't monsters. These weren't invaders. These weren't conquerors. These were protectors. Deathwelders, but with hearts stronger than steel. Above the battlefield, the raider flagship trembled as it detected the humans' movements, analyzing their impossible combat strength. Sensors failed. Data corrupted. Panic spread among the raider command crew. General Scorn slammed his claws into the console. This cannot be happening. These humans, they fight like they're born for this. We must crush them. Load the orbital cannon. His officers hesitated. But, sir, the colony is still below. Your men, our spoils, fire. Scorn roared. Kill them all if you must. Just stop the humans. But before the cannon could fire, a single blue dot appeared on their radar. A human signature. Moving fast. Too fast. Sir, the officer whispered, paling. One human is running up the tower. Scorn snarled. Impossible. No one can climb that fast. But humans weren't no one. They came from a world with mountains that killed climbers, storms that ripped buildings apart, volcanic cliffs that shifted daily. One human leaped from ledge to ledge, bounding upward at impossible speeds, reaching the cannon's control room in seconds. He crashed through the window with a shockwave of dust and metal, landing in front of the terrified raider gun crew. Scorn stepped back, trembling. Stay away from me, monster. The human didn't reply. He simply walked to the cannon's power core, tore it out, and crushed it in his hand like brittle ice. Sparks exploded behind him. The weapon collapsed. Scorn stared at the human's glowing visor as the soldier walked forward, calm and steady. You attacked innocents, the human said quietly. That ends now. That moment changed everything. No more screams. No more shots. No more fear. The slaver army collapsed. The colony stood untouched. The humans stood victorious, not with rage, but with purpose. And across the battlefield, every alien whispered the same truth. The galaxy feared humans, but it never understood them. Today, the galaxy saw what a human truly was. A force of nature wrapped in compassion. A storm with a soul. A death welder who fought only to protect. News traveled faster than light, faster than rumor, faster than fear itself. Before the dust had even settled on Lethra Prime's broken streets, satellites in nearby systems detected unusual battle signatures, energy readings that did not match any known alien military. The patterns were sharp, controlled, brutal in efficiency. Only one species produced such combat signatures. Humans. And the moment that confirmation hit the Galactic Council networks, panic spread through the core worlds like wildfire through dry forests. Admirals gasped. Diplomats choked. Leaders who had spent their entire lives believing Earth was isolated and harmless suddenly felt ice crawl down their spines. Inside the vast council chamber, an enormous dome structure floating above a shimmering lake, the representatives of 50 alien species gathered in emergency session. Their voices overlapped, trembling with fear, shock, denial. Humans engaged in off-world combat. Death welders deployed military units, without permission. How did they even receive the distress call? If they are mobile now, no world is safe. The room trembled with chaos. Holographic screens replayed the battle footage. Humans catching plasma shots. Humans disabling armored raiders with their bare hands. Humans moving like storms born of fire and instinct. Humans showing no fear. The council speaker, a tall crystalline being, slammed its staff on the floor. Order. Maintain order. But even it could not hide the tremble in its voice. We must discuss the human threat, a soft voice interrupted from the far corner. It belonged to an elderly ambassador whose species had once studied Earth's environment and barely survived a week there. Humans are not a threat, she whispered, her voice trembling. They only acted because someone called for help. Another ambassador snapped back. Help? This was not help. It was domination. They defeated an entire slaver army in minutes. The elderly ambassador raised her trembling hands. Slavers. Pirates. Murderers. Should they have let innocents die? Silence fell for only a moment before another ambassador shouted, That is not the point. The point is, they fought off-world. They answered a call that was not meant for them. They can crush us if they choose. Fear filled the room again. Some whispered, What if they expand? Others murmured, What if they are preparing for war? No one asked the real question. What if humans are simply better protectors than us? Back on Lethra Prime, The colony's leadership stood on a broken balcony overlooking the battlefield. But instead of smoke and fire, they saw humans repairing generators, lifting fallen beams with strength alone, giving water to the wounded, comforting children. A child tugged on her mother's arm. "Mama, the humans saved us." The mother's eyes teared up. Yes, they saved all of us. Meanwhile, the raiders, bound, disarmed, and terrified, sat in a circle under human guard. They weren't being beaten. They weren't being tortured. They were simply being watched. One raider whispered to another, "Why didn't they kill us? We tried to kill them." The other replied in shaking breath, "That's what makes them terrifying. They choose not to kill." Far above the colony, the apex transmitted a signal, one designed to reach every channel the council monitored. Kaya stood at her console, her heart pounding as she waited for the commander to speak. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He simply delivered humanity's first off-world message in a century. And it shook the galaxy. The commander's voice echoed through every council chamber, every military base, every starship. "Harm the innocent, and you answer to us." The council chamber erupted into chaos again. Some species screamed in fear. Others demanded war. Others fell silent, realizing that sentence wasn't a declaration of conquest. It was a promise, a vow, a line drawn in the stars. A warning, not of aggression, but of protection. The elderly ambassador whispered, voice breaking, "They are not like us. They are not ruled by fear. They act when we hesitate. They protect when we debate." Another ambassador shook his head violently. "No. They are unpredictable. If they can deploy off-world so easily, what stops them from taking planets? What stops them from controlling systems?" A single line appeared on the council's central display, a transcript of the human message. Many stared at it in silence. Humanity wasn't trying to rule. Humanity wasn't trying to build an empire. Humanity wasn't trying to dominate. Humans had acted because someone needed help, and the galaxy didn't know how to process that kind of power used with restraint. On Lethra Prime, the human commander walked through the colony streets slowly, observing every detail with sharp eyes. Civilians bowed their heads, not out of fear, but gratitude. A young alien boy ran up to him, holding a small glowing stone, a traditional thank you gift. The commander bent down, gently taking it. "What is this?" The boy whispered, "A light, for those who chased away the darkness." Something in the commander's chest tightened. Humans were feared for a reason, but moments like this reminded them why they fought at all. Humanity's greatest power wasn't strength. It was heart. Meanwhile, General Scorn's flagship fled the system, his crew trembling. Scorn stared at the human battle recordings, replaying them again and again, sweat dripping from his brow. "They answered a simple distress call," he whispered. "What will they do if someone threatens their worlds?" For the first time in his cruel life, the warlord felt fear. Not of humans' strength, but of their resolve. Their unity. Their terrifying calm. The galaxy finally understood a horrifying truth. Humans did not need to conquer worlds to reshape them. They only needed to care. That I end the council chamber. Silence finally settled, thin and fragile. And across that silence, one ambassador whispered what everyone feared to say aloud. "If this is what a small human response team can do, what will the galaxy face if Earth ever gets truly angry?" The speaker's crystal body dimmed in dread. "Pray," he whispered. "Pray we never find out." And far away, aboard the apex, the humans prepared to leave. Quiet, efficient, noble. They didn't stay for thanks. They didn't expect reward. They simply protected strangers, because they could. And the galaxy would never forget the day Deathworlders answered a call not meant for them, and saved everyone. The sun was beginning to rise over Lethra Prime, its golden light spilling across shattered rooftops, broken streets, and scorched soil, but for the first time since the attack began, the light didn't feel frightening. It felt warm, safe, because humans were still standing there, silent giants guarding the colony as though they had always belonged to this world. The apex hovered above like a dark star, casting a protective shadow over the shaken civilians. The battle was over. The slavers were defeated. The colony was alive. Children slowly stepped out from hiding places, holding hands, looking in awe at the armored figures who had saved them. Mothers wiped their tears, fathers bowed their heads, elders whispered blessings. But even in victory, the humans were calm, checking wounded, repairing infrastructure, scanning for leftover threats with disciplined precision. No cheers. No celebration. Just responsibility. The human commander walked through the center of the colony, crushed stone crunching beneath his boots. He paused whenever he saw fear in an alien's eyes. His visor softened its glow, his posture lowered to seem less intimidating, and each time he spoke, his voice was gentle. "You're safe now. We won't let harm come again." A group of children followed him like small shadows, whispering stories about him as if he were a hero from an old legend. But on the raider side of the battlefield, silence ruled. The once proud slaver soldiers sat in metal cuffs, staring down at their trembling hands. Not because the humans had beaten them, though they had, but because of what the humans didn't do. The slavers kept expecting punishment, torture, execution. But instead, the humans gave them water, medical treatment, blankets. One raider broke down crying. Why are you helping us? After what we did?" The human medic looked at him, her voice soft and steady. "Because you're alive. And if you are alive, we don't harm you unless we must." The raider shook his head slowly. "You could have killed us all. Why didn't you?" The human replied, "Because strength without control is cruelty. And cruelty is weakness." That sentence rippled through the colony, through the slavers, through every alien who heard it. For centuries, the galaxy had feared humans because they believed humans were violent, dangerous, savage. But today, the galaxy saw the truth. Humans weren't dangerous because they loved war. Humans were dangerous because they fought only when they had to, and when they fought with everything. Meanwhile, in the council chamber, the emergency meeting had not ended. Representatives watched new footage showing humans rebuilding the colony, treating the wounded, storing raider weapons safely. The panic in the room slowly turned into conflicted silence. "They are helping," one ambassador whispered. "We expected destruction. They gave mercy instead." Another murmured, "Mercy from a Deathworld species. Who would have believed that?" A third leaned forward. "Maybe we were wrong about them." The council speaker's voice shook slightly. "Can mercy erase the danger they pose?" The elderly ambassador, her eyes soft with wisdom, answered quietly, "Perhaps danger is not the enemy. Cruelty is." Back on Lethra Prime, the colony gathered in the central plaza. Hundreds of aliens stood together, staring at the humans who had saved their lives. Myra, the young council member of the colony, stepped forward, her voice trembling with emotion. We owe you our world. We owe you our families, our children, our future. How can we thank you?" The human commander looked at her for a long moment. Then he raised one hand and gently placed it on her shoulder, a gesture of reassurance, not dominance. "You don't owe us anything," he said. "Just live. Just rebuild. That's enough." The colony cried. Truly cried, deep, shaking sobs of relief and gratitude. The humans stood quietly, letting them process the moment, letting them breathe. Then the Apex sent a final signal, an encrypted message transmitted to the nearest council relay, to every open emergency channel, and to every pirate network still active in the sector. It was simple. It was clear. It was a promise etched into the stars. If you prey on the weak, you face Earth. Across the galaxy, reactions exploded. Pirate lords trembled in their fortresses. Slaver kings locked themselves behind reinforced doors. Black market networks shut down entire sectors out of fear. Civilizations whispered the words again and again. Earth has moved. The Deathworlders have acted. The galaxy has changed. Meanwhile, the Apex activated its engines, a low rumble shaking the colony one last time. The humans began boarding, their mission complete. Children ran toward them, waving, some crying. One little girl, no older than 6, tugged the commander's hand. "Will you come back?" The commander kneeled so he could look into her bright, hopeful eyes. "If you ever call for help again," he said softly, "we will always come." She hugged him tightly, armor and all. It was the first time in the entire mission that the commander froze, because nothing on Earth had ever hit him harder than the pure trust of a child from another world. As the humans boarded their ship, Myra shouted after them, "What should we tell the galaxy about you?" The commander turned one last time. The sun reflected off his visor, making him glow like a warrior carved from starlight. His voice carried across the plaza like thunder softened by compassion. "Tell them we are humans. Tell them we protect. Tell them we are Deathwelders, and we choose to stand for those who cannot stand alone." The apex rose into the air, engines igniting with a roar that shook the mountains. The colony watched it ascend, glowing brighter as it pierced the atmosphere, then vanishing into the stars. And long after the humans were gone, one truth echoed across the galaxy. The Deathwelders had answered a call that wasn't even meant for them, and the galaxy would never, ever forget it.